so much on that, and as I started thinking about it, that man was that man was
It's okay.
that was to me that was.
This is the Desreta Jackson Show. We turn pain into power. Today I have with me Cheyenne Martin. He is a contractor with Bell Construction West, Inc. He's not just a contractor, he's actually the CEO and owner right here in Los Angeles. So I wanted to talk to you guys. I wanted to share with you basically how I met Cheyenne and why he stood out in my mind. On this episode, why it's so important that Black fathers in their sons' lives matter. We're talking to Cheyenne and the story behind his father. So let me tell y'all, when I met your father, I had just moved to a new city. And in the city I moved to, I had like 30 years of construction. I used to build houses in LA, renovate from ground up, hire ex-convicts. I mean, it was just a whole system I had. But that was back in 2005. And so around 2021, I think, or roughly around there, I decided to get back into real estate, and I found myself having a hard time just getting back into, even though I was buying property and land in my area, I just found that it was hard to find people reliable. So I went to this one site where it was like a, just to see, kind of get acclimated with what's the new construction prices on materials and things like that. And so when I reached there, the lady who owned the shop wasn't there right away. So I parked there and I saw another man parked in his car, and we both was parking waiting for her to open up the door. And eventually he came over to me, which was your father. And he knocked on my window and he was like, "Sis, I love your car. What series is that?" I was like, 421i BMW. And I was like, "Thank you." And then he was like, "What kind of work you do?" And I said, "I'm in, construction, renovations, kind of whatever I want to do right about now. But I do real estate as well." And he said, "I'm a contractor." I was like, "Really?" I freaked out because I had not found a Black-owned contractor in the area. I can't even tell you since when. So I was just kind of like, "Wow, okay, give me your card." And he was like, "Well, I technically don't do it anymore, but I trained my son and I trained him well. He owns the business, he takes care of everything." And I was like, "Okay, let's connect." And he was like, "Well, he usually goes out to LA, but if you're looking for someone out here, I could reach out to him." And when I tell you it was a harmony that started, it was a harmony. And he just seemed, he was interesting in so many ways, because one, the fact that he came to initiate a conversation. He wanted to initiate helping me. He made sure, he said, "And you don't worry, my son's gonna take care of you." And I was just kind of like, okay. And as time went on, I called you. Remember the first time I called you out?
Yes.
I was looking at a property, and the renovations on the property, I didn't even buy the property yet. It was literally, it was an inspection. I had the inspector come out. And I asked you, could you pop up
Yes.
and just come out for it? And let me tell y'all how deep this was for me. And I'm gonna tell you why you stood out at that very moment. So a lot of times when you get into real estate, you're gonna look at, before you buy the property, there's an inspection that will come up. And I paid for an inspector to come out. So the inspector was going around to the property, and he was pretty much putting together assessments. He saw the concrete. He was like, "This is da-da-da." And it was a property that needed to be renovated. So he was like, the concrete is messed up. And he was like, "You need to speak to a contractor about that." He was like, then he went to the kitchen floor is messed up. So immediately, if you know how I work, I already had Cheyenne on lock. So I called Cheyenne over every time he walked away, and I whispered to Cheyenne, and I said, "What do you think about the concrete?" Cheyenne was like, Do you remember what you said?
I don't recall, but I remember the concrete being cracked. I remember the things we had to do for the concrete. I don't recall what I said. What did I say?
You actually was like, oh, that's simple. We could fix that.
Yeah, pretty
and then
much.
the first time when you said it with confidence, I was like, okay.
That's when we had to do. Okay, yeah, I remember that.
You remember it?
Yeah, I remember.
I'm taking you down memory lane
Yeah, I remember
here.
that.
And then he was like assessing on the floor. And something you said right away, he said to me, that concrete is moving because there must be some kind of brick or something against the property pushing it.
Yeah.
And then we end up going to the back, and sure enough, we
Found out
found
what it was.
Yes. And I was like, and that from that moment, I said, oh, he knows what he's talking about. And everything was positive. He was like, I can fix that. That's easy. We could take care of this. We could take care of that. And then as the guy was going around and he was like doing more stuff, I actually looked at him and was like, give me some numbers, quick. He was like, okay, I'm going to assess it, but roughly that might be about like 12 grand. This might be about, it was like these numbers coming quick. I was like, okay, good. By the time he was done, I already had my assessment.
I remember that day.
And we made the offer.
I remember the day.
And then later on, some other stuff went through where I didn't buy the property. And I was like, I reached out to you and I said, you know what? I appreciate you just coming out because you didn't charge me anything.
Right.
You was assessing everything. It was about Christmas time.
Yes.
And I said, hey, let me go ahead and just give you something. You said, no, I did that. That was for you. Don't even worry about it. And I was like, please, I had to beg you.
Yeah.
Like, who begs? I begged you and you said, oh, okay, my grandbaby, I could buy her something for Christmas. I was like, thank you.
Little Millie.
And we was locked in since then. Now, what I wanted to ask you was, your father, you kept expressing to me that your father, he was there for you in so many ways.
Yes.
Could you explain that?
Yes. Partially being the first introduction, how you met my father, that is exactly how my daddy was. My father was. He was so genuine with everything. He was open. He was a people's person. He was especially our people's person. You know, he didn't care what was going on. He was there for you. I remember growing up, my father was kind of strict on me. And he was too much of my brother, Keto. But me, yeah, I got the brunt of a lot of stuff. But I hope you don't mind me saying this, but it happened because when I started getting in trouble, right? The gang thing, Daddy wasn't playing, Mama wasn't playing. Especially Daddy. Daddy, I work too hard, X, Y, and Z. We're not doing this.
How old was you?
Probably 16.
So around 16, you started getting into gangs.
I started hanging around people that were involved in
Oh, gang affiliates.
Yeah.
That's LA, so that's gonna happen anyway.
So I started hanging around, and Daddy was like, "No, I'm not gonna do it." I know my father. All his life he just worked. All his life, my mother worked. All my life, that's what I know. The work comes from my father. Now, when I went to jail, that was because that was my hard-headedness. I didn't want to be under my father's thumb anymore. I wanted to be away.
Okay, wait. You just jumped from me.
It was okay.
Okay, let's go. What age was you when you went to jail?
I didn't start going to my 30s.
Oh, okay.
Real late, because I went to the military after high school because of my dad. I'm a veteran. He's a veteran, and his father was a veteran. That's why I went to the military, because I wanted to follow the family tradition. I got home, got married, got divorced, and I started going to jail. And he couldn't understand why. He really couldn't.
What was the reason? What was
I lost my family. I lost my family to my stupidity, my being young, my being dumb. And he tried to to guide me throughout the whole entire things with me and my ex-wife were going through. My dad tried to lay the path for me of what I should be doing. But I didn't think that he knew any better, because you're older than me, your mom was set. You don't know, but he did know.
Let's go back to 16.
Okay.
So when you were 16, you was living with your dad and your mom. They were married. And you were in LA, where were you?
San Bernardino. We're actually in Rialto.
Rialto. And you started hanging around
the wrong people.
The wrong people.
Right.
And did you do gang activity?
No, just being around the people.
Just being around the people?
Yeah.
What would you do when you were around them? Give me an example or a story.
Wouldn't go to school, did school a lot, just in the streets, not behaving. talking back, just things like that, just things that wasn't my norm, my character, that he knew better, so he would know that something was going on.
So did you kind of like, you and him kind of like butt heads at that time?
No, I got my butt kicked.
Oh, he got physical.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing. It's just that I know this story.
Yeah, I got my butt kicked.
So you and your dad kind of went 16, and his thing was like, that's not going to happen.
I worked too hard. We're not doing this. And I watched my dad. If you don't mind me sharing something, I watched my father worked for this company called Barton's Exterminating. I watched my father start his own business from scratch. To me, that's the greatest joy, the greatest role, the greatest. I was telling Duro, he wasn't the best man to me. He was the greatest man to me.
Wow.
I watched him actually go from just A all the way to Z. It was wonderful because I used to take for granted. He used to come in my room at night, knock on the door 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey son, you all right? I'm all right, Dad. Okay, I'll talk to you in the morning or whatever. And when I get up in the morning, he's gone. And it'd be like that for months on end. And as I started thinking about it, that man was to me that was a man.
You saw the cracks in my smile, but I never cracked under pressure. Desreta. This is the Desreta Jackson show. We turn pain into power. Desreta Jackson.